Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of Shivers, in the state of Tennessee. Today and date is early Monday morning, December the 18th, 2017, time 4:11 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. I'll continue to keep myself employed right here in this Memphis tri-state area. I'll continue to further my education. Monroe College online, pursuing my associate degree studying business administration, concentrating mark. What I'm going to do right now, do my Instagram. Hello everybody, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of Shivers, in the state of Tennessee. Today and date is early Monday morning, December the 18th, 2017, time 4:13 a.m. First, say thank you to all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. I want to first always give thanks to God for all the blessings and the guidance that He provides us with. What I'm doing right now, do my Facebook Live. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. Live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of Shelby, in the state of Tennessee. The day and date is early. Monday morning, December the 18th, 2017, time 4:16 a.m. First, I thank you all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. And what I want to do right now, want to take the time, go to the Bible, which I like to do, and then after we take some time, go to the Bible, then we're gonna go to the dictionary and continue to go over the definition of the words that be causing so many issues. And so what we're going to do right now, let's go to the Holy Bible. We're going to go to the book of Acts. We're going to go to the book of Acts. And we're going to start at Acts chapter 1. Acts chapter 1. Okay, we're going to start reading. Now I'm reading from the King James Bible. Now, I'm going to start reading in Acts chapter 1, verse number 11. Which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, whereby both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren. And in those days Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said the number of names together were about 120. Now, now we're still in Acts chapter 1. Now we in verse 23. And they appointed two, Joseph called Barsabas, who was surnamed Justus, and Matthias. And they prayed and said, Thou Lord, which knowest the hearts of all men, shew whether these two thou hast chosen, that they may take part of this ministry and apostleship from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. Now we're over in Acts chapter 6. Acts chapter 6 starting in verse number 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmur of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Verse number 2. Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them, and said, It is not reason that we should leave the word of God and serve tables. Now go to move down to verse number 7. Acts chapter 6, verse number 7. And the word of God increased, and the number of the disciples multiplied in Jerusalem greatly, and a great company of the priests were obedient to the faith. Now, all those that are watching and listening to my video, you can go to BibleStudyTools.com and you can follow along. You can also go to BibleGateway.com. There's another website you can go to and you can follow along. Now, let's go over to Acts chapter 9, starting at verse number 1. And Saul yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogue, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. Now, Okay, that time won't permit us, to read the whole chapter. Excuse me. Now let's go over to Acts chapter 9, verse 19. And when he had received meat, he was strengthened. Then was Saul certain days with the disciples, which were at Damascus. Now, we over Acts chapter 9, verse 26. And when Saul was come to Jerusalem, he essayed to join himself to the disciples. But they were all afraid of him, and believed not that he was a disciple. Okay, let's go down to Acts chapter 9, verse 31. Then had the churches rest throughout all Judea and Galilee and Samaria, and were edified and walking in the fear of the Lord, and in the comfort of the Holy Ghost were multiplied. Now, Acts chapter 9, starting at verse 36. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deed which she did. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in the upper chamber. And for as much as little was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by him, weeping and shewing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them. But Peter put them all forth and kneeled down and prayed, and turning him to the body said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. And it was known throughout all Joppa, and men believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon, a tanner. Now, let's go to Acts chapter 11. Acts chapter 11. And we're going to start our reading in verse 21. Acts chapter 11, starting at verse 21. And the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number believed and turned unto the Lord. Then tidings of these things came unto the ears of the church, which was in Jerusalem. And they sent forth Barnabas, that he should go as far as Antioch, who, when he came and had seen the grace of God, was glad, and exhorted them all, that with purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Lord. For he was a good man, and full of the Holy Ghost and of faith, and much people was added unto the Lord. Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus, for to seek Saul. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. Now, the point we brought up yesterday, about this Christian, this lie, calling yourself a Christian. Now, we didn't hear anything about nobody at Tarsus. Now, Saul was at Tarsus. Barnabas was sent by the church to find Saul, and we don't hear anything about no Christian at Tarsus. Saul was at Tarsus. When Barnabas found Saul at Tarsus, we still didn't hear anything about anybody saying Christian. Now we at verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. So before both of them got to Antioch, now Saul was at Tarsus and Barnabas was in Jerusalem. He left Jerusalem because the church sent Barnabas. Because the church wanted him to go as far as Antioch. So this is what we want to say. That before Saul and Barnabas went to Antioch, we didn't hear anything about nobody being a Christian at Antioch. We didn't hear anything about that. We read the Bible right here. Nobody said anything about being a Christian at Antioch. They were the disciples. It was the disciples. That's what they were. They were the disciples in Antioch. So let's read. We in Acts chapter 11, verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. And in those days came prophets from Jerusalem unto Antioch. Okay, let's move down to verse number 29. Then the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which dwelt in Judea, which also they did, and sent it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. Now, we're going to continue our read. Let's go to Acts chapter 13, because we want to Acts chapter 13, verse 13. Now, when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perge in Pamphylia, and John, departing from them, returned to Jerusalem. John returned to Jerusalem. Okay. Now, let's go to Acts chapter 15. We're going to start at verse number 1. Acts chapter 15, verse number 1. And certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren and said, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, you cannot be saved. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles, and they caused great joy unto all the brethren. And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders, and they declared all things that God had done with them. Now let's move to Acts chapter 15, verse number 6. And the apostles and elders came together for to consider of this matter. And when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, Men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago God made choice among us, that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And God, which knowing the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Ghost, even as he did unto us, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. Now therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? But we believe that through the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, we shall be saved, even as they. Then all the multitude kept silence and gave audience to Barnabas and Paul, declaring what miracles and wonders God had wrought among the Gentiles by them. And after they had held their peace, James answered and saying, Men and brethren, hearken unto me. Okay, let's we're still in Acts chapter 15. We're going to start reading at Acts in verse 22. Verse 22. Verse 22. Then pleased did the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabbas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. And they wrote letters by them after this manner, the apostles and elders and brethren, send greetings unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch and Syria and Cilicia. For as much as we have heard that certain which went out from us have troubled you with words, subverting your souls, saying, Ye must be circumcised and keep the law, to whom we gave no such commandment. It seemed good unto us, being assembled with one accord, to send chosen men unto you with our beloved Barnabas and Paul, men that have hazarded their lives for the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. We have sent therefore Judas and Silas, who shall also tell you the things by mouth. Same thing by mouth. For it seemed good to the Holy Ghost and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things, that ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, ye shall do well, fare ye well. Now, so when they were dismissed, they came to Antioch. And when they had gathered the multitude together, they delivered the epistle, which when they had read, they rejoiced for the consolation. And Judas and Silas, being prophets also themselves, exhorted the brethren with many words, and confirmed them. Now let me move down. Acts chapter 15, we're going to start reading in verse 35. Paul also and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and preaching the word of the Lord with many others also. And some days after, Paul said unto Barnabas, Let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Lord, and see how they do. And Barnabas determined to take with them John, whose surname was Mark. But Paul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them from Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work. And the contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder one from the other. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus. And Paul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of God. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, confirming the churches. Okay. So we read now in Acts chapter 15, starting at verse 35, that Paul and Barnabas, they continued in Antioch. They was in Antioch after all that Christian stuff. See, this is something that don't get brought up. After they had the meeting, Barnabas and Paul went back to Antioch. You don't hear nobody saying nothing else about no Christian in Antioch or anywhere else in the church, because it was a lie. It was a lie. We don't know who said what. It don't specify in the Bible who said be a Christian. All it says is that the disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. That's all the scripture said. Acts chapter 11 verse 26. We know that in Tarsus, Saul was in Tarsus. Barnabas was sent from Jerusalem by the church. You didn't hear nobody in Jerusalem saying they was a Christian. Nobody in Jerusalem said they was a Christian. The church in Jerusalem. Nobody in Jerusalem said they was a Christian. So when Barnabas found Saul in Tarsus, nobody in Tarsus said they was a Christian. When Barnabas and Saul got to Antioch, they were in Antioch for a whole year. For a whole year. We don't know exactly who all was in Antioch. We know that Paul and Barnabas was in Antioch. And then this whole issue about a Christian came up. So the church had some type of issue came up about circumcision. So they brought Paul and Barnabas back to Jerusalem. Now after they had that meeting, Barnabas and Paul went back to Antioch. You don't hear nobody else saying anything about being a Christian. Nobody said anything else about being a Christian after the meeting in Acts chapter 15. It's a lie. Now, let's move over here. Now, we over here in Acts chapter 22. Paul tells of his conversion. We know he lied. Paul lied. Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, he lied. Okay. Now we're going to start reading. Okay, we're going to start reading in verse number 5, Acts chapter 22. We're going to start our reading in verse number 5. As also the high priest doth hear me witness in all the estate of the elders, for whom also I received letters unto the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring them which were there bound unto Jerusalem for to be punished. And it came to pass that as I made my journey, and was come nigh unto Damascus about noon, suddenly there shone from heaven a great light around about me. And I fell unto the ground, and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And I answered, Who art thou, Lord? And he said unto me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom thou persecutest. And they that were with me saw indeed the light, and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. He just lied. He lied. Saul from Tarsus, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul, Acts chapter 22, verse number 9. Saul from Tarsus lied. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. He lied. And I said, what shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said unto me, arise and go into Damascus, and there shall be told thee of all things which are appointed for thee to do. Now, he also lied about Ananias. It's not just one lie he tells. There are many lies that Saul from Tarsus tell. He lied about Ananias. And he started talking about being in a trance, and and so on. But we know Saul lied in Acts chapter 22, verse number 9. Acts chapter 22, verse number 9. Saul from Tarsus lied, the self-proclaimed apostle Paul. Now, let's go to Acts chapter 26. Acts chapter 26. Now, Acts chapter 26, it talks about Paul recounts his conversion. Now, I'm going to start reading in Acts chapter 26, starting in verse number 12. Whereupon, as I went to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priest, at midday, O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me and them which journeyed with me. Verse 14. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecute. But rise and stand upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of those things in which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send thee, to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me. He lied. See, he withheld a lot of information. He said that I heard a voice speaking unto me. Acts chapter 26, verse 14, he said I. He completely left out the fact that in Acts chapter 9, let's turn back to Acts chapter 9. Verse number 7. Acts chapter 9, verse number 7. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. That's Acts chapter 9, verse number 7. So turn back to Acts chapter 26. Read verse 14. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. He lied. Saul from Tarsus lied. Now we know that in Acts chapter 26, verse 28, we know that King Agrippa said that then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. Now you know for a fact, there's no doubt, we know that that's a lie. It's a lie. Because after the meeting, now we know that in Acts chapter 11, like we just went over Acts chapter 11, verses 25, we know that Barnabas found Saul in Tarsus. We didn't hear nobody say anything about being a Christian. When Saul and Barnabas went to Antioch, before they went to Antioch, nobody was saying anything about being a Christian. Nobody said. Remember, Saul was in Tarsus and Barnabas was in Jerusalem. So Antioch was the disciples. Antioch, the church in Antioch, it was the disciples. Saul was in Tarsus. Barnabas was in Jerusalem. Barnabas was sent from Jerusalem, and when he left Jerusalem, he went to find Saul. He found Saul in Tarsus. When Saul was in Tarsus, nobody said anything about being a Christian. So when Saul and Barnabas went to Antioch, they were in Antioch for over a year. And while they were there, we hear this, the disciples were first called Christian in Antioch. Now we don't have any record of who all was at Antioch. We know that there was a dispute came up and Saul and Barnabas was called back to Jerusalem. To come back to Jerusalem. In Acts chapter 15, they were called to come back to Jerusalem because they had this dispute about circumcision and so on and so forth. And so when they came back to Jerusalem, quite naturally, now we know John had already left. In Acts chapter 13, verse 13, John had returned to Jerusalem. And so this whole issue about this Christian, it came up. The elders, the apostles and the elders in the church in Jerusalem, they were aware of this saying you was a Christian in Antioch. And so after they had the meeting in Acts chapter 15, Barnabas and Saul went back to Antioch. This verse 35. And after they returned to Antioch, nobody said anything else about being a Christian. Now we know after Paul and Barnabas make this point, we don't know who was all at Antioch about this whole thing about being the disciple first called Christian in Antioch. Now, when Paul and Barnabas, while they was at the meeting, we don't know who was at Antioch had left and was going around saying they was a Christian. We don't know. It's a possibility some people who, once Saul and Barnabas returned to Jerusalem for the meeting, they left. They left people behind. In Antioch, they left some people behind. It's a possibility some people when they left, there's some people who left behind them, went in another direction, and started talking about being a Christian. So we're in Acts chapter 26. Now we had this confirmation that it was Saul. Because after the meeting, why are we hearing about King Agrippa almost being persuaded to be a Christian in Acts chapter 26, verse 28? We haven't heard, in some of the chapters we haven't read, but we know they keep talking about being a disciple after Acts chapter 15. We know that they're the church, because Saul was going around visiting the churches. So Acts chapter 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 is still talking about the disciples. You ain't heard nothing else about no Christian. And we also know that Barnabas and John, they went to Cyprus. We haven't heard anything about being a Christian in Cyprus. See, all these things get brought up. All these points are being made to show that it's a lie. That saying you're a Christian is a lie. Barnabas and John, they sailed to Cyprus. If you're supposed to be a Christian, the people in Cyprus would have been saying they were Christian. Sometimes when people try to lie, and when they try to accuse Barnabas of doing something, and after that disagreement he had, Barnabas and Saul had this contention. Barnabas and John said they went to Cyprus. That's the scripture. The scripture says that they went in Acts chapter 15. It says that Barnabas and John, they went to Cyprus. If anybody tried to accuse Barnabas of doing anything, Barnabas and John, they sailed to Cyprus. You don't hear nobody saying about no Christian in Cyprus. But when it comes to Saul, here we are over in Acts chapter 26. And what do you hear? What do you hear? Out of all things, what do you hear after that meeting? What do you hear? You hear King Agrippa saying he was almost persuaded to be a Christian. So now we have confirmation. We know who it was. It was Saul. Saul lied. It was Saul. See, the devil never repented. The devil never repented. He lied about his conversion. And here it is, King, out of all things, what is King Agrippa doing saying? He almost was persuaded to be a Christian. But all throughout the book of Acts, you keep hearing about the disciples. Now, let's go to let's go to 1 Peter. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4. And this is the third place where you find this lie. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf. See, this is what the Apostle Peter was telling you. The Apostle Peter was telling you that he knew that there were people walking around, going around lying. And when you have people that go around lying, they don't tell you the truth. See, instead of telling you the truth about the disciples, they come to you and lie and tell you about being a Christian. That's a lie in itself. You didn't know anything about the disciples. What makes you think you know anything about being a Christian? So when somebody comes to you and tell you about being a Christian, all they're doing is telling you a lie. They're telling you a lie. And so that's what the Apostle Peter was telling you. The Apostle Peter was telling you, I'm aware of it. And that's the compassion grace, mercy from God. The Apostle Peter is an apostle of Jesus Christ. And through the Apostle Peter, compassion, grace, mercy comes to all those who've been lied to, who didn't never hear the truth. Somebody came to you and started talking about being a Christian. It's a lie. It's a lie. The Apostle Peter didn't tell you to be a Christian. See, that's another thing about reading the book of Acts, and about that meeting that we had that was held in Acts chapter 15. See, the Apostle Peter is an apostle. He was in Jerusalem. You don't just accuse the apostle of anything. You don't just accuse Apostle Peter of anything. You don't have no knowledge about the Apostle Peter. The Apostle Peter is an apostle. He was taught by Jesus Christ. What make you think that this same issue didn't never come up when all that time that Jesus was teaching the apostles while he was there before he was crucified? What make you think that the same issue didn't come up? What make you think the Apostle Peter going to sit there and tell you to be a Christian? He was taught by Jesus Christ. And while he was walking around being taught by Jesus, what did Jesus Christ call him? A disciple. And he chose 12. Jesus Christ chose 12 to be his apostles. So you don't lie on Apostle Peter. You don't lie on Apostle Peter. You don't lie. Let's go to 2 Peter. Second Peter chapter 3. Starting in verse 15. And account that the long suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also according to the wisdom given unto him hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable rest, as they do also the other scripture unto their own destruction. Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware, lest ye also being led away with the error of the wicked fall from your own steadfast but growing grace, and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen. The apostle Peter was, again, when you specifically when you identify somebody, you know what you're doing. The Apostle Peter didn't say anything about anybody, but he specifically started talking about Paul, beloved brother Paul, and his epistle writing. When you do that, you are identifying the person or the thing that's causing a problem. And I'm Peter. I'm the Apostle Peter. So when people read the epistle that Peter wrote, it didn't come from Barnabas. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the epistle, like Barnabas wrote an epistle or John wrote an epistle to talk about, to point out beloved brother Paul and his epistle writing. Just like over in 1 Peter, we had to mention about being a Christian. When Apostle Peter, when he identifies, when you speak about something, apparently it's becoming a problem. So I need to speak about it. And when I speak about it, I put it I speak about it in a way, I broadcast that it's a problem. And by it being a problem, I'm telling you, I'm the Apostle Peter, and I'm aware of it, and I'm gonna tell you what to do about it. Just over there in 1 Peter, chapter 4. When you see the Apostle Peter writing about all these things, he also make mention about being a Christian. Because I am Apostle Peter. So he mentioned it and gave you instruction on how to deal with it. Now here again, 2 Peter chapter 3. What do we have to deal with? We have to deal with beloved brother Paul. We specifically talking about beloved brother Paul and his epistle writing. Nobody needed to hear anything that he had to say. Nobody needed to hear him writing about no epistle. There's nothing in his epistle that anybody needs to pay, because he lied. He lied. And see, when just like that whole thing that happened, that situation that happened in Antioch. See, this is how he tried to hide. He waited until Barnabas was in Antioch. And when something like that comes up, you really just can't identify who said what in Antioch. You know what I'm saying? Because the church in Jerusalem, they got to go by hearsay. The Apostle Peter, he wasn't in Antioch. So who he gonna believe? He got to hear from all these people that this person said this, and then you got people, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. Then you got the other person saying he said this, he said that he say, she say. All that hearsay. But now in Acts chapter, in 2 Peter. In 2 Peter, we are being specific. We know that Saul is writing these epistles. So the Apostle Peter specifically identified him, beloved brother Paul, in his epistle writing. I'm Peter. You read my epistle. And I'm talking about Saul from Tarsus. Who is Saul? Nobody. Nobody. What did Apostle Peter tell you? He said, beware. He said, ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware. Beware. Lest ye also being led away with the error of the wicked fall from your own step. Beware. That's what the Apostle Peter told you. Beware. So we're gonna come back on and we're gonna continue to promote the disciples, and we're gonna continue to expose Saul from Tarsus, self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. And we're gonna always put God first, and give thanks to God for all his blessings and his guidance. And so let's go to the dictionary. as you know, we're going to continue to talk about African traditional religion. And as you know, African traditional religion is being taught in sub-Saharan Africa, institutional higher learning, meaning colleges and universities in sub-Saharan Africa. And you can earn a bachelor's degree, you can earn a master's degree, you can earn a PhD studying African traditional religion. Stopped up. Now, one of the books we're going to continue to read from, and we're going to refer to his title, West African Traditional Religion, written by Dr. Joseph A. Obaseka Nwalelu and Dr. P. Adalumo Lepemu. Another book we're going to continue to read from, referred to as titled African Traditional Religion, a definition written by Dr. E. Beloja Adowu. Another book we're going to continue to read from, referred to as titled African Religions and Philosophy, written by Dr. John S. Mbidi. And another book we're going to continue to read from, referred to as titled Concepts of God in Africa, written by Dr. John S. Mbidi. And as you know, while we was talking about the disciples, and we know that all that epistle writing, we know that many of the church, man-made religious organizations, they depend on Saul from Tarsus, his epistles. Romans chapter 16, verse 16, salute one another with an holy kiss. The church, with the suffix es of Christ, salute you. And also 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse number 4, so that we ourselves glory in you in the church, suffix es, of God, for your patience and faith in all your persecution and tribulation that ye endure. The Catholic Church, all these man-made religious organizations, the Catholic Church, the Church of Christ, the Baptist Church, the Lutheran Church, Presbyterian Church, the Anglican Church, the Jehovah's Witness Church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Mormon Church, you know, all these man-made churches, the Nation of Islam, the Black Hebrew Israelites, all man-made religious organizations, the Scientology Church, you know, just name the Amish, the Mennonite, all man-made religious organizations. And that's where they're getting it from. Them epistles that Saul wrote, Romans chapter 6, Romans 16:16, and 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse number 4. That's where they're getting it from. That's where they're getting it from. That church with the es on the suffix es. That's where they're getting it from. All these man-made religious organizations. Now, as you know, many governments all around the world, all over the earth, they enact laws, and those laws are intended to make each and every one of us safe from crime in general, organized crime. Now, the United States government enacted the law, the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970, and Title IX of the Organized Crime Control Act of 1970 is the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, the RICO Act. It's anti-gang. Now, the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, the Controlled Substance Act, the Psychotropic Substances Act, the Continuing Criminal Enterprise Statute, Kingpin Statute, is all anti-gang. The Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act of 1974 established the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, plus other related legislation. That's anti-gang. The Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention and Comprehensive Gang Model Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Program, United States Department of Justice. You can go to youth.gov and be informed about the Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative and the Comprehensive Gang Model. The Office of Justice Program, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, United States Department of Justice, Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative, and Project Safe Neighborhoods. United States Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Service, Comprehensive Anti-Gang Initiative. The Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, Bureau of Justice Assistance. International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, United States Department of State, Institute for Intergovernmental Affairs. Gang Resistance Education and Training, the GREAT Program. United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. In October 2009, the National Youth Gang Center, which had been funded by the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention since 1995, merged with the National Gang Center, which had been funded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance since 2003. The National Gang Center compilation of state laws against gangs. You can go to the National Gang Center website and be informed about the state laws against gangs, gang prevention, the overview research program. Mr. James C. Howell, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, United States Department, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the National Gang Center Bulletin. Now, the title of that bulletin, History of Street Gangs in the United States. Now, there are books in the bulletin. Read the books in the bulletin. Now, the same information can be found on Wikipedia in the title of information, Gangs in the United States. The United States Department of Justice, Office of the United States Attorney, Manual 1457, Criminal Street Gang Statute 18, United States Code 521. United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, National Gang Intelligence Center. United States Department of Justice, Organized Crime and Gang Section, and other federal, state, and local agencies. United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, Anti-Gang Strategy, Prevention, Intervention, Assessment, and Suppression. United States Department of Justice, Office of Justice Program, National Institute of Justice, United States Department of Health and Human Services, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, National Center for Injury Prevention and Control. Changing course, preventing gang membership, and also striving to reduce youth violence everywhere. United States Department of Justice, United States Department of Education, United States Department of Health and Human Services, United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, United States Department of Labor, and the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention. Forum. You go to youth.gov and be informed about the National Forum on Youth Violence Prevention. United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistant, National Crime Prevention Council, keeping kids out of gangs. And also anti-hazing. Go to lawyers.com and be informed about anti-hazing. Now this is a map of the whole world. All the people that live on the earth. And as I've been stating, all the people that's on the earth, they have ancestors. Like I said, all the people that live on the earth have ancestors. Everybody on this earth have ancestors. Now, we've been continuing to go to the dictionary and get the definition of words that criminals use, misuse, such as gang. That's German. Goon, that's English, which is German. Boss, that's Dutch, which is German. Thug, that's Indian. The abbreviation mob, that's Latin. And so, and other word, and also other words, pimp, whore, player, Mac, stone, hustler, and all kind of words, and we'll be all day trying to find all these different words. But the point is this, is that we go to the dictionary and get the definition of these words, and you find out mostly that these words being misused by the criminals. And so there are people that live in Europe, as you know, Germans and Latins, but there are other people that live in Europe. And so now the Albanian speaking people, East European, they were not involved, they did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Now, the Baltic speaking people The East European nation of Lithuania and Latvia. They were not involved. They did not participate in the East African or West African slave trade. Now the East European nation of Greece, the Greek-speaking people, they were not involved. They did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Now, the Slavic-speaking people, the East European nation of Russia, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Bulgaria, Belarus, Ukraine, the former Yugoslav Republic of Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia, Montenegro, Macedonia, and Kosovo. They were not involved. They did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Now, the East European nation of Turkey. East European nation of Turkey, also known as Anatolia, also known, the Ottomans. They speak the Turkic language, and the Turkic language is classified as Altaic. The Altaic speaking people, they were not involved. They did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Now, the East European nation of Hungary, the Hungarians, East European nation of Finland, the Finnish, the East European nation of Estonia, the Estonians. They speak the Uralic language. They speak the Uralic language, and the Uralic language is classified as Altaic. Is one of the Altaic languages, and the Uralic Altaic speaking people, they were not involved. They did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Okay, the East European nation of Romania. Romania. They speak Latin. And the Romance language of Spanish, Portuguese, French, and considered Latin Romance language. And now Romania is divided into three divisions: Moldavia, Transylvania, and Wallachia. Now, historically, the Romanians, even though they speak Latin, they are a Greek people. They are Greek. They are Greek. They are the Thracians. Historically, they are the Thracians, and the Thracians were Greek. Now, prior to the Roman conquest of Dacia, the territory between the Danube and the Dniester River were inhabited by various Thracian peoples, including the Dacians and the Getae. Now, Roman incursions under Emperor Trajan between 101 and 102 AD and 105 and 106 AD resulted in half of the Dacian kingdom becoming a province of the Roman Empire called Dacia. The Roman rule lasted for 165 years. During this period, the province was fully integrated into the Roman Empire, and a sizable part of the population were newcomers from other provinces. The Roman colonists introduced the Latin language. According to followers of the continuity theory, the intense Romanization gave birth to the Proto-Romanian language. Roman troops pulled out of Dacia around 271 AD. Later on, the territory was later invaded by various migrating peoples. So, like I said, historically, the Romanians, even though they speak Latin, they are Thracians, and the Thracians are Greek. Now, there's a history of slavery in Romania, and the people who were enslaved were the Roma people. Now, the Roma people, also known as the Gypsies, are Indian people. They're from India. Now, there are Roma people still in India today. And like I said, the Roma people, the Gypsies, they were enslaved in Romania. Now, slavery in Romania was abolished in the early 1800s, mid 1850s. Now, abolished, as you know, is legal terminology. When you abolish the government, when they abolish, they end it. It's the government that ends it. They don't leave it to the people who was slave owners and things of that nature to do anything. When you abolish, it's the government. The government ended slavery in Romania. And when you abolish, not only, and the reason why the Romanian government, it was wrong. And they tell the Romanian people it was wrong, but also the Roma people is wrong. Now, during World War II, some of the most heinous atrocities ever been committed in human history was committed against the Romanian people as well as the Roma people by Adolf Hitler and the Germans. Over 300,000 Romanian Jews, Christians, and Romanian people were murdered by Adolf Hitler and the Germans, as well as over 10,000 Roma people. Over 10,000 Roma people. And today, as you know, the Roma people, they are assimilated, integrated into Romanian society. And but the East European nation of Romania, they were not involved. They did not participate in the East African, West African slave trade. Now, I have my dictionary. Copyright 2004. Merriam-Webster Thesaurus. Copyright 2005. The Oxford Paperback Dictionary of Thesaurus. First edition 2001, second edition 2007, third edition 2009. First edition 2002, second edition 2006, the third edition 2010. Now, we're going to go to the dictionary. I'm gonna have to move a little fast because we spent the quality time on going over the Bible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put more emphasis on gang, and we're gonna go to the dictionary and we're going to show brother and fraternity, sister, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to put emphasis on gang so we can move forward. And okay, so let's go to the dictionary. let you know there are many people who were, who contributed to the making of this dictionary. From the editor-in-chief, associate editors, assistant editors, editorial staff, editorial assistants, secretarial and clerical assistants, outside consultants. My little magnifying glass, excuse me, little magnifying glass, Amazon.com, about $6, and then I paid about $3 for the, to have it shipped. But like I say, Amazon.com, this is the one I bought for myself. But now this one, magnifying glass. It was sent with the compact Oxford English Dictionary. This magnifying. So like I said, I'm gonna try to speed up a little bit because I know we spent some time on the Bible, and so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go over gang, and I know yesterday, matter of fact, we didn't go over stir. But we already know, because we continue to go over the dictionary, there's no such thing as no gang plus stir. And so we're going to go over gang in both dictionaries, and we're going to go through brother, fraternity, mob and mobile. But we're going to kind of speed it up a little bit, but we're going to put more emphasis on gang, so we're going to go to gang right now. Okay, we on gang number 1. We know this gang number 1's a noun. Middle English, from Old English, the king, to Old High German. Gang, act of going. Old Norse, ganger, act of going. God, gang, street. I think this is Greek, perennial, Sanskrit, junction. Okay, number 1. The act, manner, or means of going. Passage, course, journey, also gate. Number 2A, dialect, chiefly British. Number 1, passageway, road, lane. Number 2A, pasturage for cattle. B, chiefly Scottish, journey, especially one undertaken to perform an errand. C, chiefly Scottish, the amount as of wood, water, or peat. They can be carried at one time or in one trip. 3A, number 1, a set or full complement of articles, outfit. A gang of oars. Number 2, a combination of similar implements or other items arranged so as to act together to save time or labor. A gang of saws, or to produce in one operation or as one unit. A gang of printing plates, printing several jobs on a single sheet. Now we know those are all inventions, because like we say, the very first definition of gang is an act, a manner, or means of going. So this, when you talk about a gang saw, and a gang of printing plates, you really, see, misusing the word. That's something that came on later. The word originally means an act, manner, means of going. Okay, B. A number of individuals making up a group as one. A group of persons working under the same direction or at the same task. Migrants laboring in gangs in the woods. Excuse me. Okay, a number of individuals making up a group as one. A group of persons working under the same direction or at the same task. Migrants laboring in gangs in the woods, mines, and fields. Okay, gangs of expert bottomers. Number 2A, company of criminals. A gang of desperate banditti squealed on the other members of the gang. Number 3, an elementary and close-knit social group of spontaneous origin, especially such a unit composed of antisocial adolescents, teenage gangs. Number 4, a group of persons acting in accord who are believed to engage in improper acts or to be influenced by self-seeking, corrupt, or unworthy motives. Made captive by the gangs which seized power. Denounced the musical gang then in power. A political gang dragged out the racial issue to divert attention from itself. A group of congenial persons having close and informal social relations. A group of persons drawn together by a community of tastes, interests, or activity. One of a gang that call one another great. Invite the gang plus some pretty girls. Where's the gang going tonight? The gang in the office. Now, this is number 6. A flock or herd of animals. A gang of little chickens. A gang of elk. Now, number 2, gang, is a verb. Number 1, to attack a person as a gang. Young hoodlums always gang you. Try to gang him and take it away from him. 2A, to assemble or operate mechanical or electronic parts simultaneously as a group, circuits gang together by gears. B, to arrange in or produce as a gang, as type pages or printed sheets often used with up, to form a group or gang. Keep company, go, travel, empty-headed, idle-handed widows who gang together. Gangs with those kids on the street block, often used with up. The boys would gang up around a corner drugstore. Excuse me. Okay, we on gang number 3. Middle English, gang, to go, walk. From Old English, gang, akin to Old High German, gang, to go. Old Norse, gang, goth, gang, to go. Old English, gang, act of going. Scottish, go. Okay. Now, while we're in this dictionary, let's turn to brother, and then we're going to turn to fraternity. I'm not going to read the whole definition at the same time, but what we're going to do, we're going to read the very first definition in the forms at the top. Okay, there's 3 brothers. We're going to read number 1. Brother number 1. Brother is a noun, plural form, brothers, brethren. Middle English from Old English, brother, Thor, akin to Old High German, Bruder, brother, Old Norse, brother, Goth, brother, Latin, freighter. Then you have Greek, praetor. Okay, 1A. A male human being considered in his relation to another person having the same parents or having one parent in common. See brother, German, half brother. Compare uterine. B, a male of any lower animal similarly considered. 2A, number 1, a kinsman by blood. Number 2, a male member of the same family clan line in primitive society, being often charged with the same responsibility as a brother of common parentage. Okay, now I'm not going to go any further than that. Now let's go to brother number 2. Brothering, brothers, to make a brother of address or treat as a brother, especially to admit to a brotherhood. Okay, now let's go to brother number 3. Used typically to indicate intensity of feeling about the topic in hand. Brother, was I ever sick? Okay, so that's brother. So like I said, brother, frater, which is Latin. You saying the same thing over and over again, over and over again. Okay, let's go to fraternity. Now, like we've been going over, fraternity. Italian, it means brother. Fraternity is Italian for brother. When you say frater, now frater number 1. It's talking about the refectory. Now, frater number 2 is Latin for brother. It's Latin for brother. You know, you got F-R-A, the syllable break, then T-E-R, frater. No. Now, we have gone over fray and fro, things of nature. We know it's brother. That what you're saying, living brother. And then when you say fraternal, you still saying the same thing over and over again, brother. When you say fraternity, you still saying brother. It's all, and you know brother is German. Brother is German. And frater is Latin. All you saying. So like we've been bringing this issue up, all this sorority and fraternity mess, all them lies you be talking about you being initiated, it's a lie. Talking about you gonna join, that's a lie. All that 3 Greek letters, it's a lie. All them secret handshakes, all that other junk that you be doing. The sorority and fraternity, it's a lie. You're lying, as well as the secret society, because they do the same junk. Make up all that junk. All you do is make it, they made it up. It's a bunch of junk. Throw it away. It's all it is, a bunch of lies. All you doing lying. Now we're gonna go to mob and mobile, and now we know they're mob. They're, let me see, 1, 2, 3. There are 4 mob. There are 4 definitions for mob. So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna speed up a little bit here. Okay, mob number 1 is a noun, origin unknown, obscure, undressed, disavowed. Okay. Mob cap. Okay, number 2, mob is a verb. Mobbing. Perhaps back formation from mobile, archaic to muffle the head of, as in a hood. Mob, archaic to dress oneself negligently, to go to an unfashionable place, disguise or so as dress as to avoid recognition. Mob number 3, noun, often attributed short for mobile. Number 1, the lower classes of a community, the populace or the lower part of it, master the use of superstition for the purpose of policing the mob, political spellbind to appeal to the mob mind. Okay, I'm gonna move forward to mob number 4. Mob number 4 is a verb. Mob. 1A, to crowd about and attack or annoy. Mob by autograph hunters before he could enter the theater. Attack in a mob. A crowd tried to mob him and he ran for safety into the superintendent's office. Okay. Now we're gonna move forward. Okay, mob is an abbreviation. Number 1, mobile, mobilization, mobilize. Then you have mobile. Mobile number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Mobile. Okay. Movibilis from Latin movere. Capable of moving or being moved from one place to another. Movable as a, capable of moving or being moved about readily. Alright. Okay, so basically it's 4 of those, including Mobile, Alabama. Okay. Alright. like we said, we are like gang plus stir and mob plus stir. You know, mob is an abbreviation, so you know that's a lie. You know, such thing, no mob plus stir. And the same thing with gang plus stir. You know, such thing as no gangster. When you know the definition of gang, the act, the manner, means of going, no such thing, no gangster. Okay, we just gonna go to sister number 1 and 2. Okay, sister number 1 is a noun of the Middle English: sister, suster, soster, sister, sister, akin to Old High German, swister, God, swister, Latin, sorrow, Old Slav, sestre. Number 1, a female human being related to another person having the same parents. 2, half sister. 3, sister-in-law. B, 1, a kinswoman by blood. Number 2, a female member of the same family, clan, or line. C, a girl or woman felt to be a sister. Right. Now we'll move down to sister number 2. Sister, sister, sisterine, sisters. The one to stand in the relationship of a sister, to treat in the manner of a sister. Her art, sister, the natural rose, okay, to address by the name of sister. Going into sorrow. sororo, sororate, and sororio, sorority, and sororize. You're saying the same thing over and over again. Sister. That's all you're saying, sister. Okay, gang. Old English gang, gone. Old High German gang, Middle High German gang, Old Norse ganger, Danish gang, Gothic gang, Old Teutonic. Okay, Roman numeral number 1. Action or mode of going, way, passage. Number 1, steps, going, journeys, Old English only. Number 2, the power of going, ability to walk about. B, manner of going, gait or carriage. C, the act of walking. D, currency. Number 3A, a journey. Sometimes a definition of extent. B, a traveling or resorting. Number 4, a way, road, or passage. B, the course of a stream. C, a walk or pasture for cattle. Also the right of pasturing. Number 5, a step or run of a ladder. Number 6, a turn or spell at any work or exercise. Number 7, the quantity or amount usually carried at one time. Okay, the Old English gang appears in later time. Okay, Roman numeral number 2, a set of things or persons, a set of articles used, such as are usually taken together. B, a set of tools or implements so arranged as to work simultaneously. A company of workmen, a company of slaves or prisoners, any band or company of persons who go about together or act in concert. B, to be of a gang, to belong to the same society, to have the same interests. You have a collection or herd of animals of the same species, especially elk or buffalo, a pack of dogs. Okay, Roman numeral number 3. Denoting implements worked in sets. Alright. Gang is a verb. To walk, go. Okay, gang. Verb number 2. To arrange in a gang, also to gang out. To arrange in companies. To gang in, to come in a gang. Alright, so that's gang. So what we're going to do now, we're going to turn to brother, and then we're going to turn to fraternity. Okay? Brother. Okay, just to make a long story short, we in brother. There are various forms of brother. Then it gives you all these definitions. Latin for brother is frater. Frater. So that's brother. So let's go to fraternity. Saying the same thing. Fraternity, brother. Frater, brother. Fraternal, brother. Fraternity, brother. Now let's go to mob and mobile. Mob is an abbreviation for mobile. Number one, the disorderly and riotous part of the population, the roughs, the rabble, an assemblage of the rabble, a tumultuous crowd. Okay. One of the mob, the common mass of people, the lower orders, the uncultured or illiterate as a class. Disorderly or lower class people. A promiscuous assemblage of people, a multitude or aggregation of persons regarded as not individually important. A heterogeneous collection, Australian, a flock or drove of animals. Shetland dialect in School of Wales. Okay, let me move on. Okay, mobile. Okay, so there's mob. Let's go to mobile. Okay, mobile. First grand great principle, mobile. Anglicized form, prima mobile. A body emotional or capable of movement. Capable of movement, movable, not fixed or stationary. In various applications of the sight of a limb and organ of the body, move but not fixed. Okay. Now there's mobile. Now when we were talking about mob, you know there are more than one mob now. Let me see here. Okay, mob. Then we were talking about the mob. A mob cap. A strumpet. A negligee. Okay, let me go. And then we got a mob as a sort of brush or something. Okay, mob, to muffle the head of a person, to dress untidily. To mob, to go a mob, and to go in disguise or attire. Then mob is a verb, to attack in a mob, a disorderly crowd. to crowd around and molest or annoy. Okay? To force a person into an action, drive him from a place by mobbing him. Okay? So that's mob and mobile. Okay, sister. Now it gives you the various forms on sister. Now, sister, so Latin sorrow. Latin sorrow. You're saying the same thing, sister. Saying the same thing. Sororo, sorority. Saying the same thing over and over. Sorrow, sister. Sister is German. Sorrow is Latin. You're saying the same thing over and over again. Brother is German. Freighter is Latin. You're saying the same thing over and over again. Now, we always put God first. Give thanks to God for all His blessings and His guidance that He has blessed us with. Now, like we've been going over the dictionary, as you can see, people be horseplaying. There's no excuse. When you see the Webster's third new international dictionary, that was a second and that was a first. The second was in 1930, 33, 34, before World War II. And then the third edition came out in 1961. The Webster's third new international dictionary came out before the Encyclopedia Britannica purchased Webster's, Merriam-Webster. The third edition came out in 1961. So you had a dictionary, no excuse. The Oxford English Dictionary, same thing. The first edition, 1929, then the supplement, then 1933. So they published the dictionary in 1933. It was a 20-volume dictionary. Then they had the compact Oxford English Dictionary. They took that same dictionary from 1920 to 1933 and made it a compact edition, but you got to use the magnifying glass. In 1971, no excuse. Then Oxford University, they published a new dictionary, 1989. No excuse. There's no excuse for no sorority, no fraternity. And there's no excuse for no African Americans to be living on the East Coast of America, going around horse playing with other African Americans. Talking about you in the gang and all this. There's no excuse for no person, no African American person to be talking about They in the blood gang and the Crip gang in Los Angeles, California. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for no African American to leave the East Coast and then try to move to Chicago, Illinois, and try to hide in some high-rise public housing projects. There's no excuse on the west side of Chicago. There's no excuse for little girls and little boys in America to be lied to, including German and Latin children. There's no excuse. No excuse. There's no excuse. All that horseplay and all that stuff, like I've been saying, need some hand grenades, need some rifles with scopes. Simple as that. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county sheriff, in the state of Tennessee. Thank all my fans, my support, for your continued encouragement and support. And I know, this Christmas be next Monday, but still want to wish still have next weekend be the Christmas Eve weekend, but still want to extend Merry Christmas to everybody, and have a Happy New Year. So until next time, take care of yourself. Wish each and every one your very best.